Want to know more about a profit and loss report? Well, watch on. As a business accountant, my team and I spend all day long helping business owners on their journey, and one thing we love to do is educate people around some of these key documents, because as accountants there's a lot of these terms that throw around, right? Then profit and loss reports being one of them, a P&L as it's known. So in this video I just wanted to give you almost like a beginner's guide. I want you to know, like, okay, what is this report? How do I read it? Why should I care? And also what's not on it, which is a big thing. So do stay onwards to listen to that, because I think more than anything, I think that's one thing when people read this document they miss is what it's not showing you, because in the small business world it's actually really important to you as the owner. Now, before we get into this, if you like these type of videos, make sure to click the subscribe button and the bell to get notified whenever we release more videos just like this one. So then first off, profit and loss report. Well, where can you find one? I think that's probably the first obvious question, because for a lot of people they might not have access to it. So if you're a limited company and you've filed a year's worth of accounts, you will have access to it. You'll be able to look, because on Companies House you get a small, they call it a filleted or a cut down basically set of accounts, and that won't normally, or shouldn't if you care about your privacy, but show the profit and loss in full. That won't, but there will be a copy that had to go to the Revenue and Customs with your corporation tax return, and that will have the full profit and loss. And we'll talk about what a profit and loss looks like, and we'll show you a picture in a minute, but you'll be able to see that on there. So go and dig those out, or if you haven't got a copy, ask your accountant and they should be able to send it to you. Now, if you're a sole trader, so you're not a limited company, if you've got an accountant, they may or may not have done those accounts. So ask, see if you've got a set. I know we do them here, but not everybody does them. And if you've submitted it yourself just on the HMRC online form, you're likely not to have it. There's nothing that's on the revenue site that's going to give you that. Where that would be, and for most people, whether you're limited or not, this is these days where you're going to find it, is inside of some accounting software. So if you've got something like a Xero or a QuickBooks, those kind of online software apps, you can literally go in there and go to the menu, find reports, and there will undoubtedly be a profit and loss report. Sometimes that profit and loss report's referred to as an income statement, but in most of the softwares it'll be under profit and loss, or P&L. So go check that out, bring it up. Now, if you instantly stop there and think, okay, I just can't find one, I haven't got one, I'm in an Excel spreadsheet and been submitting my accounts myself, or my figures on my personal tax return to the revenue, and I haven't got any of that, then I think this should be, your action point should be, go and think about how you get it. Because as a small business, if you've got any idea of growing and improving your profits and ultimately your income, you're going to want to be able to look at this thing. So that should be your action point for now. So then, what is a profit and loss report? Well, a profit and loss report we're going to show you here is basically a record of your income and your outgoings. It's as simple as that. And the reason it's called a profit and loss is ultimately at the bottom of it, it's going to show you a positive figure, which is a profit, or it's going to show you a negative figure, which is going to be a loss. And you're hoping as the owner to see a positive figure there. And if you think about it, it's going to show you, all your money coming in. So they call that revenue, sales, turnover. You might have heard the various terms. Then it's going to show you a section there called direct costs, often referred to as costs of goods. There's other wording that can be used here, but it's all the things that are directly related to what you sell. So if you sold a product, it would be, let's say you sold some chairs, it would be the wood that makes the chairs, the glue, the carriage to send it to your customer, be all those kind of direct things directly related to the sale of that product. If you sold a service and you had some staff members, it would probably be their wages if they're the people delivering the service on your behalf. So it would be that. Then underneath that, what you have is all what's often referred to as overheads. Sometimes on a profit and loss report, you'll see it mentioned as admin expenses. So, but again, it's all the stuff that's not necessarily directly related, but it's all business expenditure. So it'll be things like your rent, your rates, your accountants, your phone bill, your advertising spend, all those other business costs. And then at the bottom, there's going to be your profit. Now, one of the things that's not going to be shown there, which is really important to talk about, is that profit does not take into account your money. So if you're a sole trader, it doesn't take into account your wages. What's left at the end is, in theory, what's available to you, other things aside, and we'll talk about some of the other missing things, but it won't show your wages. If you're a limited company, some of your wages might show in there. So if you have any payroll, like you're on a very small salary, which a lot of limited company owners are, and then you take your dividends, it won't show anything to do with dividends, and I'll explain why in a minute, but it will show a little bit of your salary. But if you're a sole trader, when you look at this, that profit is effectively your wages, or in theory, on paper, what's available to you. Now, I'm going to expand in another video about the things that you want to look at and figure out, and sort of the trends you can look for, and the sort of things that could be useful and practical to you as an owner. But right now, I just want to get you an awareness of this report. So, and you can have a general poke around. You can go in, if you're in software, you can literally click on those costs and see where you've been spending your money. That's quite a nice awareness piece. And I think a lot of owners, if you talk to other business owners, they might be interested how much you turn over. Like, and it's good for you to know. You should know that figure. Like, how much did I take in? Because it's cool. Like, it's a nice thing to know. Like, wow, do you know what? I did take this amount of money. Or ultimately, could be a depressing one, and you think, well, do you know what? That's not as much as I'd hoped. Maybe I should get on with it and get out there and go. So either way, an awareness of those figures is where to start. And I will do another video talking about what else you can look for. But ultimately, the point of looking at this is to have a feeling really for the health of your business. Now, when I say health, let's talk about the things that aren't in here. And the reason sometimes you have to know about what isn't in there is when you're making decisions. So if you look at this profit and loss report, let's say you want to take X amount of money. You want to take $5,000 a month. And you look at the profit and loss report, and the profit and loss report you can look at over different periods. So if you've got your set of accounts from previous year, it will show you it's from so it covers these 12 months, and then you can just have an idea. The beauty about software is you can change the dates in the software, and it will give you different options. So I quite like looking at one that's like several months in, so you can see like on a monthly basis roughly. Now, because of the way the software works, quite often it's not perfect in terms of, so if you paid a big insurance bill in 1 month, what's going to happen is it will make it look like you've maybe made less money that month because you've got this big bill. In an ideal world, you'd want that split across all the months. And accountants do this kind of stuff where they might, you can buy what they call management accounts, and they will adjust those kind of things if you're really interested in literally what money on paper you're making per month. But for you now at this stage, just be aware that's the case. So you might want to look at it per month. So let's just say you looked at 1 month and you want to take $5,000 a month, and that profit figure at the bottom is only $4,000, then instantly you should know, oh, do you know what? It probably can't afford the $5,000 in theory on paper. And again, I'll probably do an expanded video to talk about why the paper figure is not always the true figure. But let's just say for now, as a business model, that's something to look at. Now, the reason I say that you have to take other things into account is what isn't shown on there is if you've bought big bits of equipment. So if you've bought things like MacBook, I know I use that example frequently, but you bought some equipment, and so you're a one-person consultant and you've gone and spent $5,000 on some IT equipment. If it's done correctly, it won't show on that report. It's on its sister one called the balance sheet. And I know we've done a video talking about the balance sheet, but it's on another report, so it's not there. So the same as loan repayments won't be there. And as I said to you, your dividends, if you're a limited company, won't be there. I mean, we're talking about that $5,000 that we're talking about potentially taking now. That might actually be some dividends anyway, but just know. So if I was doing that calc, I might go, okay, well, I made $4,000, but actually I'm paying £200 back on a credit card every month for a loan that I had, or my parents gave me some money. I'm doing that £200 a month. Oh, so I'm going to take that off that $4,000, and actually I spent £800 on equipment that month. So really, there's only $3,000 left, and I'm thinking of taking $5,000. So it's using those figures to kind of get some idea of how healthy your business is, and that's really what you're trying to work out. Is it healthy? And you can do cooler stuff with it as well, where you can figure out what does the business model need to look like backwards. So if I want to take $6,000 a month, what profit do I need to make? What do those things look like? And that's where some of the magic of the numbers are. But for now, just getting an awareness. And I think that can be a real eye-opener for you to start with, is just look at that profit figure and think, is that enough for me to sustain my life on as a small business owner? And that's kind of the basics. So action points for you before you go. Make sure you've got access to a profit and loss report, and make sure you're looking at regularly. Put some diary space in, maybe once a week, once a month if you're not looking at it, just have a look at it. And then have a look at that profit figure. After you've taken into account things like loan repayments and investment in equipment, just those two for a starter, does that profit figure look anywhere near what you actually are taking or you want to take from the business? And then consider, if that's not the case, then what are we going to do about it? What actions do you need to take next to try and improve that figure? And then you can kind of track it. And there's a real cool building thing. If you like building things, there's a real good sense to seeing that figure hopefully grow. And there you go, profit and loss basics. Watch out for the extended video when we talk about it in more depth. Please do share this with anybody you think needs to know this information, and I'll see you in the next one.